Hey, what's up everyone? Morey Croson here, and we have an excellent video for you today. We're going to be talking about when you should be pushing off the back leg when sprinting, and we'll start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab.
Reach your individual goals.
You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video.
Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become.
All right, so a lot of us know here, especially if you've been watching this channel for a while, the importance of rhythm and timing when it comes to sprinting. I talk about that at least in the last 3 videos. I think I've said that every single time. And, here is going to be another great opportunity for you guys to learn more about the importance of having the great rhythm and having great time and being able to really connect to your body to make sure that everything is happening in the right rhythm to make it so you're able to run fast, right? And I think a lot of times what you want to be able to do is you want to think about how you can optimize this to make it so you're able to really perform at the highest ability, or the fastest capabilities, and still be able to maintain, the best proper mechanics and be able to build off of that will help you in really being able to achieve a lot of long-term success here. So we have Usain Bolt here on the left, one of the greatest ever. We have Marcell Jacobs. I like this video just because it's a little bit more clear, but you can see here what ends up being the main part here, right? I don't want to overcomplicate it. This isn't going to be a long video, but we can see when the push-off is happening, right? So what happens here is, again, this video is not as clear, so he's pushing off the ground right here, and also what's happening at the same time is he's getting maximum knee flexion, right? So this is where he ends up cutting off with his knee flexion. From here, he ends up driving back to the ground. So what ends up being the important part here, and we'll see this with everybody, right, is when your foot is toeing off the ground is simultaneous with when you're gonna be at the max knee height. So now what happens is that you wanna pull back down with the foot, and this is when you start to get that knee extension, right? So now you can see that knee extension happening, and then also knee flexion with that back leg, right? So now the back leg's coming forward, that front leg ends up pulling back underneath to make it so then, going back into that video that we made a couple days ago, that foot ends up hitting the ground with the, swing leg coming back and forward and through. And what ends up being important here, an important thing to be able to consider is that really as long as that swing leg foot ends up being at that knee height or above, that's really all that you need in order to really maintain great front side mechanics, right? You don't want to necessarily have that foot, it doesn't have to be super high up, right? You can see Fred Curley here has that foot really, really high up. As he's coming through, he still ends up having that foot in a good position as he's coming through. But a lot of times, I'm more on the side of what Marcell Jacobs is doing here, where he goes and pushes, or drives that knee through a little bit lower with his foot instead of getting it so high up. But even, Fred Curley has that same timing. So his foot's coming off the ground, and then from here, he's starting to get that knee extension going to then be able to pull back underneath. So that ends up being what, really elite sprinters are able to do. And you want to be able to think about some of these things and really, watch to see what are you doing to be able to maximize, these types of things go into distance per step as well as leg turnover, right? You got to have great leg turnover overall, or your legs moving fast, right? And being able to really time up pushing off the ground and simultaneously being at that max hip flexion, right? So then from here, now we're driving that knee through, that back knee through in that swing leg as we're driving that front foot down and through and maximizing hip extension. So you got one side hip flexion, one side hip extension, then we're flipping there, and then that timing of when that foot's coming off the ground is when that knee is gonna be at the max height position, so then we can pull back and pull forward, and just being able to really sync that together as you're able to really sync up your arms and your upper body as well. So every single time you make a change within the lower body, you want to be able to make the same adjustment within the opposite thing. So if you're making a change within the lower body, you want to make a change in the upper body, right? Or vice versa, right? If you're making a change within the upper body, you want to be able to make a simultaneous change in the lower body, or at least connect what it is that you're doing within the lower body with the upper body to make it so then everything is working in coordination with each other rather than just making a change within the lower body, because a lot of times that could throw off some of the timing that should be happening when you're sprinting. And so just make sure that you're cognizant of that when you're training, when you're working out, to make sure that you can get the greatest results from your training and really not make it so you end up getting yourself slower, right? Because if you just make a change within the legs, you could throw off the timing, and while that change could be correct, it might end up having a negative impact because you don't end up having the correct body timing to be able to really utilize that change to the best of its ability. So As always, if you like the information, go ahead and click that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you can leave those down below. And check out some of the programs that we have. As always, I think they're going to be hugely beneficial for anybody that's looking to get faster, especially if you want to get some technique understanding, right? Within those speed breakdowns, within the speed program, we go really deep into the technique. What are you doing from a technique standpoint that is making you slower? And I think this is another great example of somebody, or something that can be very, very beneficial for you when applied. You want to be able to, watch this type of stuff or see this type of stuff in your sprinting, so then you know how to apply it into your top end speed, your drive phase, your start phase, whatever ends up being the case. I always see guys that just don't have proper sprinting mechanics and guys that can work on being able to improve, different parts of their speed to be able to better understand, what it is that's going to make them the best version of themselves. And so, to me, it's really not that big of an investment, just because you're going to be able to get massive amounts of coaching and massive amounts of understanding of how to run faster. And, a lot of people, I think, are really caught up in having a program that makes a lot of sense in terms of, being able to build speed. And, while the programs can help to a degree, I don't think there's anything as good as being able to improve your technique, because once you can start to build your technique, you'll be able to build a lot more on top of that. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this helps a ton, and we'll talk to you soon.